Hey y'all, in this follow-up video, I'm going to show you how to deploy a chatbot that's using the technique called retrieval augmented generation, which is short for RAG, uh, into a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, this is a follow-up video to my previous video where I showed you how uh, the technique works. So this RAG technique, it basically allows you to talk with your internal data. So that could be anything from the output from a database, or in this case, PDF documents, specifically AWS PDF documents. So in this video, I just want to work through the process of actually getting this on deployed to AWS. Okay. So right now, this application is running in Kubernetes. Okay. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and then in the end we'll go ahead and give it a run through to kind of see what kind of responses we get. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that application we're running right now. So this is using a public IP. This is just for demo for the time being, but we see that once I've once I deleted that deployment, the application is no longer running. Okay, so what we want to do here, in this case, we are going to use uh, GitHub Actions to deploy this chatbot to AWS EKS. So EKS stands for Elastic Kubernetes Service, and that's what a lot of applications actually utilize, including ChatGPT, to serve uh, to serve an application. So we're going to go through that process right now. So uh, in order to deploy an application, we're going to use uh, what's called a GitHub workflow, and basically what that is as we save the application, as we make commits to GitHub. Each time we do that, we initiate this workflow, which is like a sequence of steps of tasks that are being run in order to deploy, uh, this application. It's what's known in DevOps as a continuous integration, continuous deployment pipeline. And so let me just kind of walk through here, tell you quickly what's going on. So all of these steps under the hood are using what's known as Docker. It's a containerization platform. And the first thing that happens here is, once this code is, enters the pipeline, the workflow, we have a Docker container that spins up, and it basically loads all of these files inside of it itself. So it checks it out, or it checks it in, but it's basically storing all that inside of its own container, and it's going to start working on it. Okay. So once it's inside, it's going to install all the dependencies that this application needs to run, which is going to be this node modules. That's what's going to be in here actually. And once that's all said and done, it's going to be using this Docker image right here to build the application, build it on out, and then deploy it to my Docker Hub, which is a public container repository. Okay, so it's a centralized repository to access containers, applications that are running in containers. And so that's what this whole process is. So it's just building out the application, and it's just going to deploy it to a repo that I created for this demonstration. Once that's done, internally inside of the Docker container that's actually preparing all this, so you could just think of it like a kitchen or whatnot. So all this is being prepared inside of the same container. Once that's done, it's then going to install the the CLI utility to actually work with Kubernetes called kubectl. This is one way to say it. So it's installing that. Once that's done, it's going to get AWS credentials, which I've saved inside this repo. Those are going to be, the access keys to my account to be able to deploy these applications inside of Kubernetes. Okay, so that's what this is doing. Uh, so once that's before that can be deployed, though, we have to give this container the context, or the context basically means where is this Kubernetes cluster running. So it's more or less the connection details to the cluster. And so this AWS utility updates a file that's stored locally. It's called kubeconfig, and it's going to basically point to that cluster so that when we get to this stage, this deployment stage, it can actually do that. So that's what's taking place here. So this is all called a GitHub action, and GitHub actions are basically kicked off when you have a dot GitHub directory in your repo and a work with the workflows directory underneath that, and any file that ends with a YAML and using this syntax, YAML. So I've just kicked this off. Let's just go ahead and see what this looks like. So let me see something. So if I do a git commit or git add, I want to add all those changes that I've made uh, for YouTube. Okay, so all those changes, I'm gonna go ahead and push those on up to GitHub. And when we do that, we go to hit this little actions button. And okay, so that's the commit message that I made. It's called it for YouTube. It's kicked off right now. So let me show you what this looks like. So we get a little button here. Let's see here. So we can look inside and look at each one of those steps that I mentioned. Okay. So this is called a continuous integration, continuous deployment pipeline. That's what's known in DevOps. Okay. So just a little background on this, because this may take a little minute. In our previous video, I showed how we can take a PDF and using LangChain, we can split that on up into chunks. So these are all from my AWS white paper. Split these up into chunks and then make, turn a question and answer bot into a way to talk to your data. So we're able to, basically initiate some questions related to this data, and then uh, we have a mechanism that will go inside and basically query all of these chunks, to find the most relevant piece of information, send it back to the chatbot, and then OpenAI as a layer will interpret all of that and put it in wrap it in a format that's friendly and just it sounds like a chat between two individuals. It's not robotic at all. So look at that. So we've already completed that workflow. Okay. So if I go back here to this is the terminal. I'm gonna say git pods. Okay, so this 27 seconds. These pods have only been running for 27 seconds. If I do it again, you'll see it starts to increment 33 seconds. Okay. I do it one more time. It should be 44 or 37. Okay. I thought it was going up a little bit faster than that. But I'm trying to show you that this application just got deployed right now. And as I mentioned, I showed you before that this was not working, but now it is. We deployed it. This is the public IP address. And let me just kind of ask let me just ask the chatbot a question. Something very niche. Okay, healthcare workloads. Oh man, let me see here. Um, okay, using AWS in the context of it. Okay, I'm taking a little while here, but I just want to find something that's very specific here. Data. Okay, what are the data protection requirements? I'm sorry, I'll just go ahead and use that. What are data protection? Okay, so I'm going to hit ask. So that should kick off a process. Let's see if it gives us information. Okay, look at that. It gave us back. All right, so
based on the given context, AWS customers are responsible for managing critical content security requirements, including what content they choose to store on AWS, which AWS services are used with the content, the location of the stored content, the format and structure of the content, and who has access to it. AWS operates and manages the infrastructure and provides tools and information to assist customers in ensuring the effectiveness of their security controls. Customers should carefully consider the services they choose and comply with applicable laws and regulations to enhance security and meet
yeah, this is
compliance
still
requirements.
definitely in development. But hey, I wanted to show you how we can actually deploy this chatbot using OpenAI and using the vector database to uh, to the cloud basically. And so this is just I'm still in like development and whatnot, but you can start to see this is still an application that we can still deploy as we need. So that's going to be it for my demo. Uh, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. Maybe also give a like. And again, thank you very much for your viewership, and you have a great rest of your day.